Slipping Through the Cracks, Part 2.
Fine job, fellas. This feline's going nowhere. Make sure she stays that way until I get back from making the arrangements for our transport. We don't usually do live goods, but for the right price we can make exceptions.
No problem, boss. We'll watch her like orcs. Reckon she's enjoying it anyhow. I thought cats like a bit of string, eh?
That's true. It's even in her name. How about it, Strings? Enjoying yourself there? You should be thanking us for giving you some fun before you leave Karnag.
Still held by the ropes that restrained her, Strings was unable to move away as Oaken leaned close. His foul breath only added to her displeasure as her mind raced to find a way out of her predicament. But the thug's excessive bindings left no slack for her to slip free, and they disarmed her of her knives. Even her magic ring had been taken, removing her of her final chance for escape. Options exhausted, all Strings could do was continue her futile struggles in the desperate hope that she could free herself. Though, with her captors watching her closely, she wasn't sure what good it would do even if she could get loose.
What about the loot she brought, boss?
I'll take it and fence it off. Out of professional courtesy, I'll still forward on her share as before. I hope this brings you some small speck of happiness, Strings. It's likely to be the last you'll feel.
Oaken stood back from the bound thief and reached for the bag of jewellery that had been left on a crate nearby. Pulling an ornate ruby ring out of the bag, Oaken inspected it as a frown formed on his face. Still holding the bag of stolen goods, he turned his head to face Strings with suspicion.
I do wonder what's so special about this orphanage you send most of your share to. It's not like anything ever comes back to you for it. Tribute to try and return home sometime, maybe. Perhaps I should look into it. Make sure you aren't having anything sent back without paying us a share.
You reckon it's worth questioning a boss?
No. Let's see if our new partner can explain any of it. Can always interrogate her later. Just make sure she doesn't go anywhere. Tolder can do the same, wherever he's got to.
Oaken turned and looked back to where his other hired muscle was standing moments earlier, though the thug could no longer be seen. Oaken's frown deepened as he took a few steps across the room, his gaze searching for Talda, who had stood there only minutes before.
He better not be stealing from the ale barrels again. I've told him twice already. We can't be leaving more evidence than... Stoverk?
Oaken glanced back, only to be startled when he realised neither of his men were still present in the room with him. Only Strings could still be seen, turning her head in fear and bewilderment at the sudden disappearance of the thugs that had grabbed her. Oaken took a step back, drawing his knife as he looked around the room in alarm.
Who's there? Show yourself.
No answer came from Oaken's call, save for the sound of silence. Oaken's expression slowly changed from alarm to one of defiance as he began searching, growling as he did so.
If you're here for the bounty, then you're too late. We're already having to split it with the damn pirate. We're not splitting another person into the deal. You should have grabbed her before... Ow! What the...
A sudden sharp pain in the side of Oaken's neck interrupted the smuggler as his free hand reached up to where he'd been struck. Pulling the object free, he brought his hand forward and unfurled his fingers to reveal it. A poison dart. Oaken raised his gaze to meet Strings, realization dawning on them both for what this meant.
Poison. Gods damn you.
Oaken's legs buckled beneath him as his strength left him, the floor rushing up to meet him. The smuggler lay there, his body convulsing as foam formed at the edges of his mouth. Strings watched from her seat, a pit forming in her stomach as her captor's twitching body slowly became still. Silence filled the room, with only the sound of Strings' own heavy breathing filling her ears. The thief cast her gaze around the room, but saw no sign of life or activity, the fear of the unknown now replacing her fear of returning to Aslux. She looked down at the ropes that held her, pulling at them once more. She was still no closer to freedom than she had been before, with no way to call for aid. Feeling helpless, Strings could only hope that whoever or whatever was in the room with her held no ill will towards her. Moments passed, before turning into minutes, with no indication that there was anyone else in the room with her. Fear mixed with trepidation, as Strings began to wonder what would happen if workers found her here with a dead body when morning came.
Being found here with a corpse by workers at sunup would lead to your arrest and interrogation.
Strings flinched as the drow made herself known behind her, rocking her chair to the side. As her chair fell back onto 4 legs, Strings tried to look over her shoulder at Shinura, but couldn't get a clear look at the drow as Shinura continued.
Of course, this would still be preferable to being returned to Bilnargath in chains. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that your recent near misses aren't because you enjoy being caught. Besides your tendency to underestimate those with magic when playing your silly games, you have a lot of talent as a thief. Enough to gather my attention.
From behind Strings, Shinura untied the strip of cloth from around the thief's mouth, but stayed behind her and out of sight. Strings could feel the drow's presence, but couldn't turn her head far enough to see Shinura. Unease and anxiety ate at Strings as she tried to control her fear.
Who are you, and what do you want with me?
My name is Shinura. You will have likely heard of me as the master of the Oaken Shields Guild. As for what I want with you, that's going to depend on you.
What's that meant to mean? Look, I don't know how much you've heard, but there's only one bounty on me, and it's here in Karnag. Honestly, I don't know what...
I know about the bounty in Aslux. There's not much of importance that I don't know about you. But it's you yourself that I'm interested in, not the bounty.
Me? You don't know anything about me except that I'm a thief.
Loose Strings, born in 966, the year of the numerous rabbits by Shielded Island's reckoning. You grew up on the streets of Bilnargath, the capital of Aslux. You never knew your parents, so you had to try and find your own keep through stealing. However, you occasionally got shelter and food from an orphanage run by an elven couple, Ralokan and Rafine. They tried to dissuade you from stealing, but it helped support the other kids as they didn't have the money to look after you all. You grew up, developing your skill before you got cocky and tried to steal from the king, who we all know is a cruel and vindictive man. The heist failed, but you were able to make it out alive and fled the country. You came here, where you've continued to be a thief, and send most of your spoils back to the elven couple to help fund their efforts in looking after orphans.
Strings sat in stunned silence as her life story was summarized before her. She'd never told anyone in Karnag her whole story, only revealing what little was needed to fence off her stolen goods back to Ralokan and Rafine. They had never liked taking the stolen goods, but it was the only way that she had known how to provide, and there was no denying that it helped them.
Why are you revealing all of this?
So that you know I'm not going to kill you. Also, so you understand the full weight of your next decision. It will decide what your future holds. You have 3 options. The first is to come and work for the guild. You would undoubtedly have to serve time or be made to pay back what you've stolen. You would likely be forced to work with specific guild members to make sure you don't run, and would likely be a prisoner until your debts are paid. You would also need to give up on your nighttime thieving and become a proper citizen, but you would be able to get a proper home and be safe, at least as far as an adventurer can be safe.
And if I don't want to work for the guild?
The second option is that I walk away and leave you here.
You wouldn't do that, surely. I'd get arrested. You wouldn't even get anything from it.
Why would I get anything when I wasn't even here? After the hired muscle poisoned your smuggler friend, they turned on each other when arguing over splitting the bounty. They killed each other in a bloody mess next door. The cleaners will have a tough time cleaning that up.
So you'd leave a full story for the workers to find in the morning? Isn't that assuming that I go along with it? What if I tell the guards you were here?
The poison that was used on your friend over there, that was one of my merciful poisons.
Strings looked over to where Alban's corpse lay still on the floor, foam still slowly leaking from the side of his mouth as his lifeless eyes stared up at the ceiling. Shinura's message was clear.
You mentioned a third option. What would that one be?
For the first time, Shinura moved from behind the thief to where she could be seen. She made no motion to free the thief, however, instead pulling forward a chair from nearby and sat beside Strings with an unreadable face. The drow sat still, silent for a moment. Strings tried to hold her piercing gaze, but was forced to look away, her limbs trembling slightly at Shinura's foreboding presence. After a few uncomfortable moments, Shinura finally spoke again.
The third option is that you work for me personally.
How's that any different from the first option? If I work for you, then I'd have to be part of the guild.
A slow smile began to form on Shinura's face as she continued to look at the thief, as if appraising a new valuable item to buy.
Officially speaking, you are correct. But not all those who work for me are officially in my employment. This arrangement would be strictly under the table, for no one else to know about. It would give you the freedom to continue your thieving, which may be to your interest, as well as having some other perks.
This isn't an offer most people would get, is it?
As I said, your talents have got my attention. You may prove to be useful, though I suggest you don't cause more problems than the value you bring. Poisons aren't the only way to dispose of people.
I guess I better be more careful when I'm being chased then. What kind of work would I be expected to do?
Anything I deem necessary. If I give you a task, then I expect it to be done. It will be a task that will be best suited to you, of course. What you do with the rest of your time would be entirely your business. However, I will expect that it doesn't interfere with what I require of you, and should you be caught, there will be no connection between the two of us. You'll be on your own.
Well, this is sounding a little more fun. What are the bounty on me? Can you keep your guild from chasing me?
The bounty will stay, and the guild members will be free to chase you. They have a job to do, and the wealth and reputation of the guild is a priority of mine. You'll just have to make sure you can stay out of their reach. I'll make no move to help you if you fail to avoid them. Outside of your silly games of cat and mouse and your underestimation of magic, there are only a few in the guild who could potentially get their hands on you. If you can't outrun them, then you simply aren't worth my time.
Well, what about the other perks you mentioned?
I can provide a safe place for you to stay, a small place to live that's well hidden. It will offer far more comfort than the ruined, leaky house you currently call your home.
You know where I live?
I also have my own contacts for fencing goods of questionable origin. I can arrange for your items to make it to Aslux without the risk of your smuggling contacts turning on you as they have tonight. Though you have Captain Rigger to thank for that, I suggest you steer clear of him for your own good.
I'm starting to wonder if the same could be said for you. You know everything about me, from my past to where I live, offering a deal that almost sounds too good to be true. How do I know I can trust you?
Now that is the kind of caution you should be showing. The short answer is you can't, but your options are limited given your current situation. Don't trust that I care for you, as I don't. Don't trust that I won't lie or use you, because I will. But you can trust that you have value to me, else I wouldn't have stopped these men from dragging you back to Aslux.
Well, when you put it that way, it sounds like working for you could be fun, and the perks are a nice bonus. Not to mention that it'll get me out of here.
Shinura's smile took on a sinister edge as the drow stood from her seat. Strings watched as Shinura moved behind the seat, out of her sight once again, suddenly wondering if she was going to regret her decision.
Good. Remember that you made this choice. Now you can start on your first task.
Wait, what? Can it? Wait.
Strings bucked in her binding once more, but could do nothing to stop the drow from silencing her again with the gag. The thief continued her futile struggles, glaring at Shinura as she did so. The drow paid her no heed, though, as she went over to the dead smuggler and began to search him. She quickly uncovered a scroll of battered paper in his pocket, unfurling it to see a badly drawn sketch of Strings on the Asluxian wanted poster. Strings suddenly became still as she watched the drow, anxiety replacing her anger as she realized what Shinura held. Shinura paid little heed to the poster, however, rolling it back up and pocketing it, before pulling an equally battered scroll from her own pockets. She placed this on the dead man's chest, along with a small, leather-bound notepad. She then raised his right hand to his chest, as if he died clutching the items. Finally, Shinura drew a knife and slashed at the man's throat, causing Strings to flinch despite the smuggler already being dead. With no pulse left, the corpse's blood slowly leaked out of the open wound and started to pool on the floor. Strings' eyes widened as Shinura stood, unsure of what the drow was planning.
There is a man who leads a small group of thugs. His name is Radril Zenin. He has made the mistake of crossing me and thinking that hiding in the city's aqueduct will prevent me from finding him. I don't have time to deal with some minor muscle who believes they're smarter than they actually are, but neither can I allow this to go unpunished. Which is why I made sure Radril's thugs got a tip that the night thief would be caught here tonight. They would only need to come and take her from the smugglers who hold her. They'll come here to find that the hired muscle have killed the smuggler responsible for capturing you before turning on each other, leaving you stuck here a bound prisoner of some corpses. With some additional choice information left behind, they'll take you back to where they have been staying.
As Shinura spoke, she moved back towards Strings, pulling out a small, simple silver necklace from her pocket. Strings watched as Shinura reached forward and tucked the necklace into one of her pockets. Filled with disbelief and frustration, the thief could do little else but listen as Shinura continued.
You'll be safe enough, as they can't claim the bounty if they kill you. As for getting free, you'll see Looping again later. He won't let you go so easily a second time, and yes, I know about that too. Looping has his strengths, but lying isn't one of them. He's also protective of children, so tell him about the orphans your activities support, and he'll let you go. An easy task to start, though it will likely be a number of hours before they arrive.
Satisfied that everything was in place for her plan, Shinura turned and walked away. Strings tried to call back, reigniting her efforts for escape with furious intent. No progress was made, however, as the drow silently left the room, leaving Strings angry and confused. Shinura had given very little detail, and Strings didn't want to reveal her secrets any more than was necessary. Nor did the thief enjoy the idea of being left tied up for hours, with only a corpse for company. Feeling as though she was quickly losing control of everything in her life, Strings continued to fight against her bindings as the rest of the room became still.